My baby has literally took the cutest school photos. I cannot. Hello everybody and welcome to today's vlog. As you can see, I still have the glasses on because honestly, looking at my computer with contacts is really hurting my eyes, so I guess I'm in my glasses era. Right now, we are still in our Barbary program and we have moved on from Crim Law to Crim Pro, but this is going to be a Crim Pro, Crim Law vlog. And yeah, today I'm going to be done with Crim Pro and then I'm basically moving on to evidence, the 4th out of 7 subjects for the MBE. And this actually makes me so excited because I realized I'm really moving along in MBE and soon I'll be on Florida law. Scary, but I'm just glad to make progress. I have a couple things to say before I get into the video, but most tips will be throughout the video. So make sure you watch the whole thing from beginning to end. That helps me as a content creator and future attorney to know that you guys like these videos. For me to get my watch hours as a YouTuber. So the number one thing I want to say in my torts video, I was like, I didn't feel like I learned a lot from Civ Pro as much as I have for my other subjects. But my friend texted me and reminded me today and she was like, honestly, I did not learn a lot of these things from X, Y, and Z classes and we were from the same section. And then it hit me. I didn't just learn from my 1L professors, I also learned from Professor Grossman when I took MBE as a class in law school. And in my law school vlogs, my 3L vlogs, I kept telling you guys, take MBE seriously. And when Professor Grossman was my professor in law school, I took MBE so seriously and he taught me a little bit more than some of my professors did for some things. Like for example, if I didn't learn something in torts, I covered it in torts in his MBE class, which is why I feel like I know torts fully, whereas something like property or contracts, even though I do feel like I've learned a lot from my 1L professors, but my friend from my section literally was saying how she feel like she didn't learn everything. And I realized I paid attention in Professor Grossman's MBE class. Let me show you guys what I did when I took MBE in law school. I hard down wrote boards for every MBE subject except for con law and evidence. But I literally have contracts, civil procedure, Crim Pro. So I feel like that is one of the reasons why I have a lot of background understanding on these topics and why MBE feels very smooth for me. And even when you take him as an MBE professor, he tells you, take this class seriously. He tells you, take this class seriously, it's for the bar. So, and it will get you ahead, and he was not lying. Another thing I realized is I took What's the Issue. So a lot of those courses, even though it's based on Florida, really intersects with MBE besides a couple Florida distinctions. So I really learned a lot of MBE through What's the Issue. And I would think that's my biggest benefit from What's the Issue is that I learned a lot of these concepts. So for me, it's not like I'm learning again. I feel like I'm just reviewing for real. So What's the Issue really helped me because I don't feel like I would have been this secure in my knowledge if it wasn't for What's the Issue. And Professor Grossman when I took him out Nova for MBE as a class. If you don't go to Nova, this is your sign that when you take MBE and FBE as a class, that you take the class seriously so that you can be ahead when it's time for bar prep. Because I feel good and confident as I review MBE. I might not be getting the questions all right, but I at least know the material. It is also Saturday. I'm about to walk Caden outside because his dad is here to pick him up. And then I'm going to log in. Caden, your daddy's here. That is not how you greet the vlog, bro. Alright, you guys, Caden is officially gone. So now we're going to log in, finish our Barbie course, and then do some questions, essays, you know, same old at this point. I do that 3 more times again, I testify for you. I'm so that like you, that bitch I do it. All I won't cry, we scared I'm not. Long if you joking, now answer me. I ain't got it. I've been skinny, do it. I your bodies, long as you dreaming about me. Okay guys, I'm actually like back on camera before I'm finished, but I only have like 1 set of questions and then a 15-minute video left, so I'm about to just knock it out. But I just wanted to come on here and say like, really shout out to What's the Issue? Because now that I think about it, I really feel like a lot of this is review for me. Even when I get to Wills and Trust, because I've already watched the videos, it's really just gonna be applying. Like when I think about it, it's like MBE I took seriously. I watched every What's the Issue video, which went over some MBE stuff. Well, I watched 15 out of 8, 16 out of 18. This feels like review now. I can only imagine when I get to topics like wills, trust, and everything else. It's just gonna get to that point where I have to like learn how to apply again for the Florida multiple choice. And then I just really need to learn these essays. So really shout out to What's the Issue. It gave me a really good foundation because I realized now that somebody from my own section feels like they didn't learn some things, I'm like, oh. Shout out to Professor Grossman. MBE was such a great course at Nova. FBE needs some work. And Professor Grossman's What's the Issue will give you a solid foundation. Like even if you watch Florida Crim Pro, a lot of those rules still are attached to the MBE, which some things are Florida specific, but a lot of it is the same concepts. So I don't know if I would recommend you wanting to watch his Adaptibar MBE videos first or What's the Issue Florida portion if you feel like you don't know Florida. But I will say by me doing What's the Issue and doing Florida, I feel like I learned a lot of things that are overlapping in MBE, but his Adaptibar videos are MBE specific. But if you have him as a professor, if you're blessed like I was in law school, then pay attention to his class and I would do What's the Issue videos after that. But that's if you didn't take those Florida bar courses while you were in law school. Regardless, shout out to Professor Grossman. One thing I want to say that I enjoy about doing questions before I finish a module is that sometimes you'll get questions wrong and you'll literally go through into your module after and I'll remember the question I got wrong and then I'll start explaining why. I'm like, oh, I remember this and I know this because of my question. So just keep doing questions, y'all. And every day, even if you haven't finished your modules, because literally your modules will go over it eventually. And I feel like it connects the dots more. Like as I'm learning about the fruit of the poisonous tree, which I kind of already know about, but now I know more details. I literally know the answer I got wrong. That's just an example. Or right now my video was talking about how if somebody asserts their Fifth Amendment, you can't bring that up in court. And I had a question on that and I got it right. But now as I'm watching the video, I literally am hearing the explanation and it's connecting the dots more. So do your questions because literally it's coming up and I feel like it's reinforcing the rule statements even more in my head because I was already exposed to it. So keep doing questions. Next, I do have evidence coming up. I might start transitioning to evidence tomorrow, my break day Sunday, so that I can start being exposed to questions and answers before I even start my program for evidence. And then guys, today is an at-home study day because I'm very sleepy, very tired, very drained. So I'm gonna print out my essay to review for today. We gotta use my sister's computer because for some reason, my computer hates to connect to the printer. And we gotta fix that because I'm the one studying for the bar and I'm the one who has the most information. Here's my sister's computer. Yes, I know her password. And then this is me just going literally directly to the Florida Bar website, printing another one. My baby is gone and now I'm missing him. Every time he goes to his dad's house, I just get like a little sad. But I know he's in good hands. Another day, another dollar. All right, y'all, if you guys watch me like you say you do, you know what's about to happen right now. I literally highlight and write notes on the issues. I do not write essays yet, and I just issue spot, highlight, and get an understanding of how the bar wants to test for essays. This one happens to be contracts, torts, and ethics. One thing I do realize is you need to know your PR real statements for real because at least one of those 3 essays is gonna have a PR question, just so you know. Persian rugs, but she's from Nicaragua. Thought you was Persian love. Are we turning up? Just so you guys can visually see, this is how my essays are always annotated. I see a question of mistake as a defense, anticipatory repudiation, specific performance because they want the specific ring, commingling of funds for a PR issue since the law system makes the money to pay for the firm's expenses, and an error in price. But the plaintiff was aware about the mistake, but was unsure based on research. So basically, it's a fun little game to play because then when you actually read, you get to see if you got any of the same points and what's missing from the actual essay. For a contract essay, you always need to start with applicable law, which is literally, is this governed by the UCC or is this covered by the common law? Well, you guys, I am back, and one thing I can say is that I got all the issues correct. I was also missing some issues, but I at least had a root of the issues on paper. If you want to go through this, they argued the defensive mistake, there was mutual mistake, and then there was unilateral mistake. They had anticipatory repudiation, which I mentioned, as well as the remedy, and they concluded that the most likely remedy would be specific performance, and they also mentioned the commingling of funds. So I got majority of these concepts down, and that's what I keep saying. Like, when it comes to essays, I know the issue. I just can't remember the rule of law by heart when I haven't done it in so long. But essays are starting to get easier for me to go through. The issue spotting is starting to get faster. My main issue is knowing the rule of law to put down. Like, clearly I know what offer, acceptance, and all that is, but when I think about it, how will I write that on paper? Like, I don't have that pre-mapped in my head. So yeah, I'm on the right track at least. And now we're gonna do some questions. I am in a very lazy girl mood today, partially because I got my girl thing. And I've been sleeping a lot, so I think I'm just going to do like 20 Sit Pro questions right now. And then we're going to take a nap and go to sleep. And then I'm gonna end with giving y'all some tips about the Crim Pro professor and the Crim Law professor. They're the same person. And the takeaways. And yeah, so keep staying tuned. And I just wanna keep showing that the importance is to review essays every day. Start writing essays if you feel like you're up for it. In the Barbie video, it says write essays even if you don't know the law 100%. It's how you're going to get comfortable. And then they also recommend to keep doing practice questions. This is really a practice exam. So at least I'm reviewing essays and I'm doing multiple choice. I'm just going to do 20 Crim Pro questions because I am done with that course for real. I already looked at my next ones and it's evidence. I just have to do like 25 questions for Crim Law, Crim Pro, and an essay, and then everything will be evidence from there. So I'm like, let me do some Crim Pro questions before I start mixing evidence with towards Civ Pro and Crim Law and Crim Pro. I've also been writing out flashcards for concepts I have a hard time understanding a little bit. What I realized, I'm a substantive girl. Like, I could explain a concept to you, but when you start being like, which amendment is it? I'm like, I don't know. All I know is you have a privilege against self-incrimination. I don't know if that's the 4th, 5th, or 6th Amendment. Well, now I know it's the 5th because I wrote it down on a flashcard, but I'm not good with dates and numbers and like specific 5th Amendment, 4th Amendment. And I think that's why I struggle with con law, because I understand the concepts, but then when you're like, which clause is this? Is this privileges and immunities or privileges or immunities? Like, I don't know. I just know the law. Like, what? I realize that's my struggle. So as you continue your bar prep, understand what your struggles are so that you can get better, because that's the only way to get better is to acknowledge you're wrong. So much people want to be perfect during bar prep and be like, oh, I'm great. I'm multiple choice. I'm great at essays. Well, you could be good at essays. I'm a good essay writer, but I can admit that I don't remember the law when I don't review it every day for an essay, but I know how to write one if I do. I can admit that multiple choice, I need to take my time reading the facts. And I can say that I've been getting so much better on multiple choice. I'm starting to think like as a bar taker, and like literally I will know what the question is asking me now. I will say for multiple choice, sometimes it's not about what's the right answer. It's about what's the best answer. You can have a question that could be a good answer too, but you need to look at the call of the question and you need to like understand what's going on. And that's why you really need to know the rules for real and how they like to test, because the call of the question will really be your answer to your multiple choice. And sometimes you won't know and the answer won't be clear unless you did a lot of practice. Another thing I want to say is they like to do a lot of distracting facts and things like that. So stay vigilant, my boy, stay vigilant. Okay, you guys, I'm tired, so I've decided that since I don't have brain power, I'm gonna do 10 Adaptibar questions, and then we're gonna stay up, watch a movie, and do something else. Something new to the vlog. We're gonna go to Walgreens, get some flashcards, and you guys are gonna see I have something in store. Something to help for the future, for the Florida portion, cause yeah. I'm the real definition of a falling star. Hey y'all, so I just decided to do 20 Crim Pro questions instead because I told myself push through like if it was an exam and I didn't want to do it. And why did I get above average today? Like I did 20 questions and I'm like close to 80% for Crim Pro, Crim Law. And that's why I'm like, okay. I told y'all I'm starting to understand from my answer choices of just reading directly from the computer. But I do think I need to print out a Crim Law packet too, because I want to make sure I'm understanding why I'm getting my answers right or wrong, even though I'm reading my analysis. But I want that concrete understanding. Right now, I am a little sleepy. It's 7:55, but I'm going to start writing flashcards for my essay. I already got my property out. I'm gonna start with property. I wrote down how many pages it is to get through, and it's 6. And this has Florida rules in it. And I'm just gonna slowly start writing down all my essay statements in flashcard form because I realize it's so important to actively remember. And me reading these outlines, it's too passive. I need active recall. So I'm writing down the flashcards for every subject of the Florida bar, and then I'm gonna just practice memorizing every day. Then I'll have a firm understanding of MBE, practice questions doing that, and then I'll have my essay rule statements in my head actively. I'm more about active learning than passive learning because active learning is how you remember. Passive learning is how you don't have things in your head, just concepts. But when it comes to the essay, I need active. And when it comes to multiple choice, I need active by doing practice questions. So I already wrote down one flashcard, but I need to start doing the rest. So I'm just gonna stay up, watch a little movie, and do some flashcards and see where we get. I'm going to end the vlog here and give y'all an update on that. I'm not going to Walgreens because I have some flashcards and I doubt I'm gonna like do all those tonight. But I just wanted to say about Crim Law and Crim Pro is that the good thing about this Barbary professor is that he literally tells you when a moment is a note-taking moment. He'll be like, write this down, and literally it'll be a note-taking moment. I think all Barbie professors, like I said in an earlier video, give very direct knowledge. He was also very motivational, telling you to tell yourself you could believe you could do it. And one thing I also like about Barbie is that when you log in, there's a positive quote every time you log in. I want to say that for the multiple choice, it really is a reading comprehension test from the facts to the call of the question to the answer choice. And I would say I think the most difficult part with Crim Law is knowing that there's a lot of different tests for different things. Like you have the model penal code for like murder, and then you'll have common law murder, and they'll all have their own different elements. Then there's like the insanity test, and then there's like 6 different tests depending on where you're from. So you gotta keep it separate. Know each test by name, and you have to keep it very separate. Also, you have to know the specific intent crimes versus the general intent crimes, but they do give you an acronym because certain offenses are specifically for specific intent and then some are specifically for general. So you really have to know the moving parts for Crim Law as well. I will say the good thing is substantively about Crim Law, it's easier than like Crim Pro. Crim Pro is like straight procedure. Substantively, you can understand Crim Law. You just have to know the different tests and the different exceptions. For Crim Pro, majority is based on search and seizure and Miranda warnings and exceptions to both of those. That's the heavily tested for Crim Pro. And make sure you do your practice questions because you'll see how they apply. Thank you guys so much for being on this journey with me. Stay tuned for our next video. You're gonna get an update to see where I'm at with multiple choice questions. And don't forget, hold on, we gotta do the dance. Legally Naya, legally Naya. Goodbye. See y'all soon. I really logged in because it's 10 o'clock and I wrote out all property essay sentences. That's about to be 1 out of 8. Let's get it. I let this go.